Hello students, a very warm good morning and welcome to your economics class. Students, in our last class, we have come across the various types of non-farming activities that the people of Palampur are engaged in. For example, dairy farming, transportation, shopkeeping, small-scale manufacturing, etc. etc. So, in today's class, let us go a little bit deep into what non-farming activities actually means, the meaning and the concept of non-farming activities, why are they important, and the various other types of non-farming activities where people can be seen engaged apart from the four that are given in your textbook. So today's class will help us to gather some more knowledge, some important concepts regarding the very important term that is non-farming activities. So it's time we shall begin with our today's class. Non-farming activities. Students, these are activities other than agriculture. So, non-farming activities are basically the non-agricultural activities. In fact, non-farming activities serve as an additional source of income in our rural India. So, non-farming activities, as we have already come to know, includes dairy farming, transportation, shopkeeping, and small-scale manufacturing. But these are the non-farming activities undertaken in Palampur. But if we consider the entire economy, there are various other non-farming activities that are undertaken by the people apart from the four that are given in your textbook. So students, there are various non-farming activities starting from construction, transportation, trade, communication, animal husbandry, forestry, mining, in fact banking, insurance, the various services, all these comes under non-farming activities. So the concept of non-farming activities is a very broad one. Okay. Difference between farming and non-farming activities. Students, let us find out how these non-farming activities differ from the farming activities. So farming activities are the ones which are related to agriculture, but non-farming activities are not at all related to agriculture. These are activities which are related to various other things but not with agriculture. Farming activities include cultivation of crops. On the other hand, non-farming activities provides us with goods and services. So students, farming or agriculture basically involves the production of natural goods. For example, wheat, rice, sugarcane, barley, etc. etc. So these are goods which are produced in a natural way by using natural resources, land, water, etc. But on the other hand, students, non-farming activities, rather than the production of goods, it is mainly concerned with providing us services. For example, transport helps us to move to and fro, right? Communication, it helps us to communicate and to express our thoughts. For example, telephone, mobiles nowadays, these are all non-farming activities. Then poultry farming is a trade where the domesticated birds, for example hen, then ducks, then turkeys, geese, etc. are kept by people in order to produce milk and eggs so that those things could be sold in the market. So students, farming activities basically includes the cultivation of crops by using natural process, whereas non-farming activities, yes, of course, these also includes the production of goods, but the goods which are produced under non-farming activities are not natural goods, okay? And non-farming activities also include the provision of goods and services. That means non-farming activities helps people in getting various goods and services. So students, the pictures given in this slide are related to farming and non-farming activities. The first picture is related to farming. It is, I think, production of rice, and the second picture is a mining activity which is going on by some in a mining sector. You can see workers working in the mining sector. Mining is basically done in order to extract the minerals, the precious minerals. So here mining activities are done, as we can see. So the first picture depicts farming activity, while the second picture depicts non-farming activity. The next important difference between farming and non-farming activity is that while farming activities are mostly conducted in the rural areas, that is in the villages, but non-farming activities can be conducted both in the rural areas as well as in the urban areas. Also students, in farming activities we need a lot of equipments, right? As we have already discussed, the process of green revolution has introduced us to a variety of modern equipments, starting from HYV seeds, chemical fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides, tractors, threshers, irrigational pumps. So all these things requires a huge amount of money, right? It requires a huge amount of expenditure on the part of the farmers. So farming activities require a huge amount of investment or expenditure from the farmers, and because of which the farmers have to borrow money from the money lenders or from the traders. But students, non-farming activities can be undertaken even with a small amount of money. For example, suppose I have a bullock in my house. So with that bullock, I can use it as a means of transportation. I can make a cart, and then with the help of bullock I can have a bullock cart of my own. So with that bullock cart I can transport goods to and fro from the market. So non-farming activities compared to farming activities requires a lesser amount of expenditure. Also students, in farming huge plots of land is required, and land is very expensive nowadays. But students, non-farming activities can be conducted even in one's own place. For example, in our last class we came across one example where in Palampur some people were even seen setting up shops in their own home space, right? So non-farming activities can be undertaken with a very small amount of money in a very small plot of land, whereas farming requires huge amount of money, and it also requires big land for the purpose of cultivation. Farming activities, students, it create employment opportunities which is quite irregular. That means people can be employed in the field for a day, for a week, for a month, or sometimes they may be employed throughout the year. But it is very uncertain. We cannot predict or decide the duration of employment of a farm laborer. The farm laborer may be employed on a permanent basis or on a daily basis or for a few months. As we all know, agriculture is a seasonal activity. So most of the time the farmers remain idle. They have no work to do. After the harvesting is done, from the harvesting of the first crop to the sowing of the next crop, there is a certain period in between. So in between that period, the farmers have to sit at their home doing simply nothing. So, and during that particular period of time, they have no earning as well. Since they are not doing anything, they have no other source of income. So students, because of this, the farmers are seen undertaking various non-farming activities, because non-farming activities provide them with an additional source of income. Non-farming activities helps in the generation of income of the people in the rural areas, because as we all know that agriculture being a seasonal activity, it cannot provide regular income to the farmers. So the farmers they need to feed their family. they need to have a regular source of income, right? So for that, most of the farmers are seen undertaking these non-farming activities as an additional source of income. So students, non-farming activities, it create employment opportunities which are quite regular in nature as compared to the farming activities. So students, in this picture we can see different types of activities. The first picture is regarding a construction activity which is going on. I think it is the construction of road. So by looking at the picture itself, we can identify that it is a non-farming activity. It is a construction activity. The second picture depicts that, I think it is cotton, because we can see cotton pulp in the picture. So it is cotton cultivation which comes under farming activity. The third picture, of course, is poultry farming, because we can see hens out there. So poultry farming is also another type of non-farming activity, which is a process or a form of raising domesticated birds like hen, geese, ducks, turkey, in order to produce in order to produce meat and egg, so that it can be sold in the market to generate income. So students, poultry farming is another important type of non-farming activity. The next picture shows sugarcane cultivation which is going on. So students, we can see sugarcanes. So this is a farming activity. So this slide includes various types of farming as well as non-farming activities. Importance of non-farming activities. Why are they important? Students, these non-farming activities plays a very important role in generating employment in the rural areas. So the farmers who are engaged in agriculture, in order to boost up their level of income, in order to have some extra income, they are seen undertaking this non-farming activities, sometimes throughout the year and sometimes during the off season, when the harvesting of the crop is completed and when they have no work to do, then they are seen undertaking this kind of non-farming activities. For example, some of the farmers can be seen working in the brick factory. Some of the farmers can be seen working in the construction of roads or dams or canals. So these are the various non-farming activities that are undertaken during the off season. And some farmers, as a side business, they are seen doing shopkeeping, or they are seen using their bullocks as bullock cart to transport goods. So these are various non-farming activities which help in boosting up the income of the farmers. So it helps in the development of the farming activities. The next important point of non-farming activities is that it helps in the development of farming activities. So students, let us understand how. We all know that farming means the cultivation of crops, and the cultivation is not only enough. After the cultivation, those crops have to be sold in the marketplace, right? In order to earn money, the farmers are required to sell the crops in the market. And to sell them in the market, the farmers are required to transport the crops or transport the food crops to the market. But for transportation, they need some vehicles, some means of transportation. They need a proper road. So all these facilities are provided by the non-farming activities. Transportation, as we all know, comes under non-farming activities. Storage, it comes under non-farming activities. Construction, it comes under non-farming activities. So all these non-farming activities helps in the development of farming activities. In the absence of these non-farming activities, the farming sector or the farming activities cannot develop on its own. Okay, so the non-farming activities helps in the development of farming activities. The non-farming activities also serves as an additional source of income for the people in the rural areas by incurring less amount of capital. So students, as I have already told you, non-farming activities, even with a lesser amount of money expenditure, non-farming activities can be undertaken, which in turn helps in generating more income for the farmers. Non-farming activities also help in the prevention of the migration of rural people from rural to urban areas. So students, we all know that in rural areas there is scarcity of employment opportunities, there is scarcity of jobs, right? So the non-farming activities helps in the creation of jobs or employment opportunities in the rural areas. So because of this, it helps in preventing the migration of rural people from the rural to the urban areas. So nowadays we see most of the rural youth, they are coming from the rural areas to the urban areas in search of jobs. So if these non-farming activities are developed in the rural areas, then the rural youths will not have to move out to the city in search of job. They can live in their own village and they can work there. So these non-farming activities, it prevents the movement, that is the migration of rural people from their own place to the urban spaces. So students, non-farming activities, the last point of its importance is that it helps in the process of urbanization and modernization. If non-farming activities are developed, there will be expansion of trade, there will be better roads, there will be well-built bridges, then there will be shopkeeping, then there will be manufacturing. So all these things will help in the development of a rural area, which will lead to its urbanization and its modernization. So students, if all these facilities are developed in a village, that village will become urbanized, and in turn it will also become modernized. So students, the development of non-farming activities help in the urbanization and the modernization of the villages. So these are the importance of non-farming activities. So students, let us now discuss some important terms that we have come across while studying about the non-farming activities. The first one is collection cum chilling centers. So students, while studying about dairy farming, we came to know that the milk which is sold in the market is first collected and then it is stored. So for that purpose, collection cum chilling centers are set up. So now what are these collection cum chilling centers? So students, these are places where milk is collected by the traders and then it is packed and then it is stored and finally it is transported to the towns and cities. Now the question is, why do we need to collect and then store the milk, right? We all know that milk is a non-durable good. That means milk can get spoiled in a very short period of time, within a day or even within a few hours, right? So milk being a non-durable good or a perishable good, perishable means goods which do not last for a very long time. So milk is a non-durable good, so we need to preserve milk. We need to preserve the quality of the milk, otherwise it will get spoiled. So if the milk will get spoiled, it will become a loss for the person who is undertaking this activity of dairy farming, right? So in order to preserve the quality of the raw milk, that milk is collected in the centers, in those centers, and then there it is kept at a very cool temperature. That means the temperature is kept at a very low level, sometimes in between 3 to 4 degrees, and it is mainly done in order to preserve the quality of the milk. If we keep the milk in a hot temperature, what will happen? The milk will become spoiled. So in order to preserve the milk is kept at a very low temperature, preferably 3 to 4 degrees Celsius, in order to preserve the quality of the milk. And there the milk is preserved at a very low temperature. The milk is collected at first, then it is preserved, then it's it is weighed. The quantity of the milk is weighed, and then finally it is supplied to the retail outlets, for example Amul, then Mother Dairy. So students, this is how the process of dairy farming is undertaken. At first, the person or the people who are doing this activity of dairy farming, they sell the milk to the traders. Then the traders, they bring the milk to the collection cum chilling centers. In those centers, the milk is collected, it is weighed, it is stored in a very cool temperature in between 3 to 4 degrees Celsius, and then it is transported to the retail outlets, for example Purobi, then Amul, Mother Dairy, etc. etc. Okay, so the main purpose of this collection cum chilling centers is to preserve the quality of the milk so that it doesn't get spoiled. Okay. The next important term is manufacturing. So students, we have come to know about small scale manufacturing, right? It is one form of non-farming activity. But what is manufacturing? Manufacturing refers to the production of goods which is not done in a natural way, rather it is done in a mechanical way. That means in the production process, various tools, various equipments, various machines are used. Okay, so the production is done in quite a mechanical way, and different methods, simple methods, complex methods, a variety of methods are used, a variety of machines are used, tools are used, and equipments are used. Okay, so students, manufacturing is basically categorized into two types of manufacturing. One is small scale manufacturing and the other one is large scale manufacturing. Small scale meaning the manufacturing activity is undertaken with a very small amount of money in hand. These are basically the people who do not have much amount of money in their hands. So what they do, they carry out the manufacturing activity with a very small amount of investment. So instead of using machines, most of the time they are seen using human labor. That means the work that is done by a machine is done by using human labor. Okay, so this is the concept of small scale manufacturing. That means the process of manufacturing is done with a very small amount of investment or with a very small amount of expenditure. For example, we can see the cottage industries, the handloom and handicraft industries, then pottery, basket weaving. All these are forms of manufacturing, right? But here, instead of using machines, we can see that more of human labor is used. So students, these are small scale manufacturing. Manufacturing means the production of goods in a mechanical way by the use of tools and equipments ranging from simple to complex. And manufacturing is divided into two types: small scale manufacturing and large scale manufacturing. In small scale manufacturing, very small amount of money is invested. Also, most of the time, instead of using machines, human labor is used, and the methods used are also very simple. On the contrary, large scale manufacturing involves the use of complex machines. For example, iron and steel industry, the various chemical industries, all these are industries which are very big, right? So in all these industries, crores and crores of rupees are invested. So students, it is quite obvious that they will prefer to use machines rather than using human labor, because machines can produce much more than what human beings can produce. Machines are faster than human beings, right? What a human being can produce in 10 minutes, a machine will take hardly 1 minute to produce the same thing. So large scale manufacturing basically involves the production of goods using complex processes and complex machineries, and a very huge amount of money is invested in large scale manufacturing. So students, this is the concept of manufacturing. So students, in our today's class, we have come to know about the meaning of non-farming activities, the difference between farming and non-farming activities, then why are non-farming activities important, and we have also come across some very important terms and their meanings. Also students, we have come to know that apart from the 4 non-farming activities that are mentioned in your textbook, there are various other non-farming activities that are undertaken in our country. So students, I hope you all have understood. In case you feel you have any doubt in understanding or in grasping the concepts, please let me know your doubts, and you can call me or you can message me. I will definitely help you. Okay students, see you all in your next class then. Thank you and stay safe.